Well, it's going to have to dramatically change, and they're going to have to really understand what he does well and make sure that they do a lot of it, make sure that they're not pushing too much of an extended game plan forward for him. And it's difficult. There's been so many years between Sean and Drew Brees of weekly game planning, all those sessions where there's not just what's spoken, but it's what's unspoken. It's what's understood. It's the in-game adjustments. It's the discussion on the sideline. And none of that exists. There's none of that history. So they're really going to have to, Sean's really going to have to feel out what he does well, what he doesn't do well, and to some degree manage the game. Manage the game until they understand how he operates best in that role. And I do think if this is a longer-term injury, if this isn't 6 weeks and they're looking for upside, we could see more Taysom Hill, because he's talked about him in the same vein as Steve Young. And if you think that a guy has that type of upside, you're going to try to develop that and push that forward as well as quickly as you can.
On the Taysom Hill point, Taysom Hill has thrown 7 NFL passes, though. He's on the field a lot, and if you can afford to roster him, he seems to be a really interesting guy because he can help you on special teams. He can take the ball out of the backfield running. He is a threat to throw the football, but I think it's 3 of 7 for less than 50 yards and an interception in his career. So he has no experience playing quarterback since his days at BYU when he was a very effective dual threat player. Knowing they had Taysom Hill, they re-signed Teddy Bridgewater to the highest paid contract for any backup quarterback in football. So that is their major plan moving forward. And the question is, how good is Teddy at this point, and how good will Sean Payton be as a play caller without Drew Brees there? And the other element is, as far as their roster goes, with Drew Brees, last year, when they were winning, I think, 10 in a row at one point, they were concerned enough about their depth at receiver, they brought in Dez Bryant. Because they had Michael Thomas, they had Alvin Kamara, then they had questions elsewhere. Dez obviously was very short-lived there. Ted Ginn was hurt. Ted Ginn, now with Teddy Bridgewater not having the arm Drew Brees has, that removes some of the viability of the deep threat there. And so I would imagine teams will focus even more on Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, whose best ability is not getting separation. His best ability is to being able to make contested catches or tight window catches. That's going to be harder for Teddy Bridgewater. There's a lot of trickle-down effect of things Drew Brees, the most accurate passer in NFL history, does that any quarterback, much less a backup quarterback, even if it's a good backup quarterback, is not going to be able to do.
Yeah, but Coach's first point, as far as Taysom Hill, he will be involved in the game plan. Sean Payton does love him. He loves him as a prospect. That's the reason why I think he was in Green Bay, and they discovered him, brought him there, and developed him. When Drew Brees is quarterback, they take the ball out of Drew Brees' hand and give it to Taysom Hill. So you don't think that now that Teddy is at the helm, they get ready to take it out of Teddy's hands. You only got 60 plays. 10 of those are gone. So, Teddy, we're only coaching for 50 plays, Coach. So, unlike you, when you get a guy like Sean Payton, and you know, it's like when Tim Tebow went to New England. They say, oh, man, they're going to run the Wildcat. No, they're not. They're not getting ready to take the ball out of Tom Brady's hand. But Sean Payton had already been doing that even to Drew Brees, so you can expect that that's going to continue to develop. Teddy, there is a game plan around Teddy because defenses don't respect his arm strength. So what do they do when they don't respect your arm strength? They don't play a lot of man-to-man. They play a lot of zone, and the DBs do not backpedal a hole. They sit and they read your routes, and they jump on you quick. Because when Teddy lets his hand off that ball, they know that ball is going to have a little arc on it, and they get a good break on it. So you have to change to be physical offensive line, play action pass, to be able to give them double moves down the field, but you have to run the ball. Latavius Murray has to take a bigger role. Taysom Hill is going to take a bigger role. And Kamara, you have to try to figure out, how can I use him? Because you can't use him the same way Drew Brees did, because the defense is already going to be playing in a phone booth. And if you try to throw the ball sideways and stuff to him, they're going to be quicker as far as in proximity to him so that they can get on him and then he gets no yards after the catch. So it is going to be a challenge, Coach, moving forward.
And the difference between dealing with New Orleans offense versus dealing with New England's is the volume that you have to defend. There's Drew Brees and how good he is, but there's shifting, motioning, multiple personnel groups, the threat of going in and out of no huddle. There's the volume, and that volume is going to be scaled back significantly. And they have to, because he really needs to make sure that he doesn't lose the game first. Okay, and they're going to have to assess how well they can run the ball, how well they can play defense, how well the rest of the team can manage it. If they don't think that the rest of the team can manage it with him just trying to control the game, that's where you go to a Taysom Hill and take a chance with the upside that he brings with the dynamic plays that he can make.
And just real quick, Jenna, the point of clarification on my Taysom Hill point. I, of course, believe Taysom Hill is going to continue to be a factor in the offense the way he has been with Brees. I would just be very surprised, even if Teddy struggles, if Taysom Hill at some point during this 6-week stretch is the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. It would appear to me he is a ways away, and the Saints are a ways away from believing, if they ever will, that that's an element that instead he can be the feature part of your offense as opposed to a change-up pitch in your offense.
Well, I hear that, but then when you hear the quotes putting him in Steve Young's bracket, in Steve Young's universe,
I question that too.
Yeah,
Steve Young's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but that's what made me take a step back and say, if you're willing to put him in that universe, you obviously have a serious love affair with this guy and want to see him play.
Taysom Hill is better than a gadget player. He plays special team. He runs leads, blocks. Man, he does all types of...
He's a tough guy,
He does. Sean Payton will utilize him because it is needed, and he was utilizing him already when Drew was there.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.